Hi there, Rick with Smart Drive Test. A story about a Quick X driver in the early 1990s driving north of Ottawa. He stopped to have a pee on the side of the road on Highway 17, standing there relieving himself on the side of the road. He looked at his truck, and his truck slowly rolled over into the ditch. Next thing you know, he was peeing on the undercarriage of his truck. What had happened, he pulled over on the side of the road in the spring. When the frost was coming out of the ground is unstable and will not hold the weight of a large vehicle. It is important to take heed of these signs in the springtime and to know that you need to run at reduced axle weights, because if you get pulled over by authorities, pulled into a scale, and you're running full weights on these side roads that have these signs in place, you're going to get a fine. You're going to end up working the day for free. We'll be right back to talk to you about that. Welcome back. Springtime is arriving here in the Okanagan Valley and other parts of Canada and the United States of America. What happens in the springtime? The frost comes out of the ground becomes unstable. Because the ground is unstable, road beds are unstable because of the frost coming out of the ground and thawing. These signs, these 70% signs, are now beginning to appear on side roads. 70% axle weights for big trucks. If you're running tandem in Canada, you're allowed 39,500 kilograms, but in the Thaw, you're allowed 27,650 kilograms. 70% overall gross vehicle weight. 5,500 kilograms on the steer axles, which you're allowed on a tandem, or a straight truck. With reduced weights is 3,850 kilograms. 17,000 on a tandem axle. That reduces to 11,900 kilograms. In Canada is what you're allowed on a side road that has these signs on. If you don't reduce the weight on the axles, you're going to get pulled over by authorities, you're going to get a fine. As I let off in the beginning, the other thing is, if you end up on the dirt, you may not get it out because you're either going to get stuck or you're going to experience a rollover, because the dirt shoulder will not support the weight of that vehicle. Now, if you're running in the United States, normal axle weights are 34,000 on a tandem axle, 12,000 on a steer axle or single axle, 80,000 overall gross vehicle weight. With 70% reduction, that's reduced to 8,400 pounds on a steer axle, 23,800 pounds on a tandem axle, for an overall gross vehicle weight of 56,000 pounds. That's what it is in the United States of America. The other thing with big vehicles that you need to keep in mind is when you're turning and you're going wide, to compensate for the off-track, you get the bigger vehicle around the ditch, whether it's a truck, a bus, or an RV unit, keep it on the pavement. Do not let it drop off in the shoulder, because the problem with the shoulder is not only do you have the downward weight of the vehicle, but also the forward movement of the vehicle trying to go straight, and the steering tires compensating for that and trying to move it around the corner. So you've got 2 or 3 forces at work on the shoulder of the road. With the frost coming out of the road, it's already soft, you're putting all that force on it, the bank is going to give away and you're going to drop into the ditch and be stuck. Hopefully that's the least of it. If the ditch is deep, you may experience a rollover, so keep it on the pavement in the spring when you see these signs around, because the ground is particularly unstable. In conclusion, 70% axle weight in Canada, 3,850 kilograms on a steer axle, 11,900 kilograms on a tandem axle, for an overall gross vehicle weight of 27,650 pounds in Canada. In the United States, it's 8,400 pounds on a steer axle, 23,800 pounds on a tandem axle, for an overall gross vehicle weight of 56,000 pounds in the United States. When you see these 70% reduction on your axle weight, know these signs are there in the spring. Pay heed, because you don't want to get a fine by authorities. You don't want to end up working the day for free. I'm Rick with Smart Drive Test. If you like the channel, subscribe below, hit that like button. Remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now. The United States, when you see these 70% reduction on your axle weights. So know these signs are there in the spring, pay heed.